welcome to this week's assembly on difference and respect. Now, in the United Kingdom, we get given freedom. Freedom gives us the power or right to act and speak or think as we want. There are many countries around the world where we do not have that freedom of speech or the freedom to act as we want or the freedom to be in a relationship with what we want, with somebody that we want, or we can even be imprisoned for that. Our freedom in the United Kingdom allows us to be individuals and to be who we want to be, which is absolutely fantastic. Now, diversity, apart from it being an amazing dance act, is where we have the freedom to live and be who we want to be. And that results in a real interesting mix of people. And diversity in the United Kingdom is a mix of things. So which is more interesting here? A world without diversity, where we're all the same, we look the same, we sound the same, we have the same opinions, or a world with diversity, where we do look different, we have the different views, we have different opinions? Well, obviously, the world is more interesting with diversity. Now, how did diversity start in the United Kingdom? Down to our deepest historic roots, Britain has always been a diverse nation with people arriving here from all over the world. Now, this all started off in the British Empire. At the height of our country, we actually governed around over a quarter of the world's population. That means that we were in control of and in power of 458 million people. After the British Empire collapsed, people from the Commonwealth countries migrated to Britain, and countries such as the Caribbean and India were invited to help strengthen our workforce. Also, with the expansion of the European Union, we've seen a number of Europeans come to the United Kingdom. Now, don't get me started on what might happen due to Brexit. So, diversity in the UK. So as people from around the world arrived in Britain, they all contribute with their own ethnic and their cultural influence to our society. So, for example, look at all the wonderful mix of foods. If our country wasn't diverse, we wouldn't have things like chow mein, hot dogs, sushi, kebabs, paella, spaghetti bolognese, wraps, a range of curries and pizza. All of these different things originated in different countries other than United Kingdom. What about the mix of music and dance? Now, I'm not going to begin to fool myself by knowing that I know all of the different types of music that you are into, but every different things that we hear, from heavy metal to grunge to indie music to hip hop to Bollywood dancing to reggae to dance music, all of these different things, again, have come from different countries. They have not originated necessarily in the United Kingdom. What about all the different sports out there, from judo to karate to kung fu to jiu-jitsu to capoeira to volleyball to hockey? Look at all the amazing things that go on there to Irish dancing. Yet again, all of these things would not be in place if they hadn't come from a diverse, creative, incredible, different cultural backgrounds. And then what about the mix of fashions? All the different fabrics that come from all over the world. Caps weren't invented in the United Kingdom. Where did they come from? Look at all the different styles and all the fashions. You know, we have Paris Fashion Week, London Paris Fashion Week, all these different places from around the world. And yet again, we would not have half the clothes or half the things that we wear if people hadn't come from different cultures, different communities and different backgrounds. So ethnic diversity has made our society rich in culture and has contributed to our economic, so money, social and democratic development. Can you imagine our country without all those amazing foods and music and dances and sports and fashions and people that diversity brings? Who is this that we're seeing here? Can you name any of them? This is the most up-to-date picture of our English football team. And as you can see, without ethnic diversity, some of those England players would not be living in the United Kingdom now. It might be to do with their parents or their grandparents or the great-grandparents. And that is the reason why they're here. And that is why we have had some varying levels and degrees of success. What we've got to do, though, is respect the differences of other people, because with freedom and diversity comes a need to respect difference. Do you want to live in a world where we can be who we want to be? We listen to the music that we like, and we eat the foods we enjoy, and we dress how we like to dress. Every single one of you is unique. There are different countries around the world now where people are not allowed to listen to certain types of music or eat certain foods or enjoy having their religion that they profess to, because they're in a country where they are vilified for having their own views. We've got to remember that the person next to us has the freedom and the right to do what they want to do, and they are likely to be different. So what we need to do is be proud. So it's important to remember that we are all different, and it is our differences that make us so unique and so special, and that makes our country interesting. We have all got our own story. So please be proud and be confident in your differences, but also respect and celebrate the differences in others. Now, you may want to talk about here, once the assembly ends, about where your family comes from, where your parents or carers, your grandparents, your great-grandparents, where they're from and what their views and attitudes are. I've made it very clear many times that my dad was brought up in a children's home and my mum was brought up on a tough council estate in Newcastle upon Tyne, where one birthday she had to buy some new school shoes because her parents couldn't afford to buy her some new shoes, and she walked around for weeks with holes in them with bits of newspaper in the bottom. You know, I'm really proud of my working class background and the fact that we've had to educate ourselves and work really, really hard to get where we are. Both of my boys are mixed race, and I absolutely love and adore the fact that they are different. I love the fact that I could celebrate in their grandparents' culture the first time I ever had chicken, rice and peas. The first time actually that I prayed before a meal, because that is what their culture and their religion and their view did from coming from Jamaica. We need to celebrate the fact that we have the freedom to be who we want to be, and to be, if we weren't different, the world would be a very boring place. Okay, thank you so much for listening. Please do now share your backgrounds and your roots with each other, and let's celebrate diversity in our school.